Welcome to Around Town. I'm Richard Blackwell, and now here's your host, Elizabeth Perkins.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Around Town. Tonight, this evening, I'm happy to welcome from Nspire Network, Miss Tanya Bayne and Shenet Beasley. Also from the NAACP, Mr. C. Linwood Jackson. And now please welcome with me our first guest from Out of the Ashes, Miss Patty and Mr. Coley Harris. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Patty, you were here before, and I wanted to get to Out of the Ashes. Could you tell me what inspired Out of the Ashes and how did it become to be?
Sure. You go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So Out of the Ashes is it's a product of a real life relationship.
Okay.
So my son, Amar Melton, and I separated for 14 years due to incarceration. I went to prison when he was 2 years old, and I came home, he was 16 years old. And so out of that period of time, our contact was very limited. So we had to regain and rebuild our relationship. And as a process of doing, in the process of doing that, we started to communicate and talk about some of the issues and challenges that we had throughout the time when he was away, and how we could go about restoring our relationship. Unfortunately, in African American community, there are a lot of children that are separated from their parents, fathers and mothers, and we wanted to make sure that we put in the work to make sure that we had a healthy, whole relationship going forward. You know, there's nothing we could do about the past.
Right.
So we decided to, work on making sure our present and our future were whole. And we walk. So he and I, we have a ritual. Every Sunday we walk 10 o'clock. We walk for 2-3 hours and walk and talk. And that's where we sort out, that's kind of our battleground, where we sort out a lot of, just a lot of stuff that we needed to work through and continue to work through. And during one of those walks, we decided, we recognized that one, a lot of his friends and my friends, children of incarcerated parents and formerly incarcerated individuals don't have the quality of relationship that he and I have. And we decided to share our story with them, to bear our scars so that others may heal. We wanted to do it in a little different way. We didn't just want to do like a seminar or workshops, but so we did a dramatic presentation. And Out of the Ashes is for all intents and purposes, a 3-part play that we share our story and we unpack our challenges with the world.
Is the Out of the Ashes, the play part of it, is that something that was written by you and your son?
Yes. So Amar and I, we both wrote our scripts, all based on real life experience, no fabrication, no engrossment. It's just real life.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because I'm a writer too.
Okay.
And I've written a book called Testament of a Child to heighten awareness of child abuse. And some of that I shared of my own story. And I remember when I was giving it to my publisher, I was so afraid to let everybody in on my personal life. How did that bring you guys bond closer? How did that affect you when you was going to put it out there as a presentation of Out of the Ashes?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. I feel as though every presentation, I get something different out of it, and a different perspective is shed on me. So one of the most difficult things for me, it's difficult, but it's also a blessing, because I sit there and watch my son pretty much tell me how he was impacted by my failures as a father. One of the other things that, and I wish Amar were here to be able to share this with you, but as he was writing his script, it took him a long time to write. So he had writer's block. He wasn't writing. So week after week, I'm like, "Have you started writing? Have you started writing?" And he just had like this emotional block. And he shared with us that when he started writing, he sat down at his computer and he started typing out, and he just started bawling because it was so much emotional pain that he had kept, compartmentalized away for his own psychological safety as a child.
Right.
And so he was able to, start working through that stuff. So that was kind of like a watershed moment for him to be able to write the script for Out of the Ashes.
And I'm gonna tell you, when he was going through that emotional roller coaster, it was a lot of things that he may had wanted to say at times when he couldn't, when you guys were apart. So that was very moving for him. So can you tell me more about the play? I mean, even with your aspect. Before you tell me about that, did you get feedback from family for doing this?
Everybody was supportive.
They were.
Everybody was supportive of it. It's pretty much me laying my mistakes out there, and how they impacted my son. So, everybody was supportive, but nobody could really tell me not to do that anyway. There's nothing, nobody could not tell me to do something that I feel as though is going to positively impact my child.
Right.
So, and Out of Ashes, it's been a very enlightening. It's been a very enlightening, the entire process, being able to share with our community in Wilmington, being able to share with different providers over in California, the Fatherhood and Family Coalitions of America conferences for 2 years.
Forward.
Yeah, it's been a very rewarding experience. One of the things, I'm sure, Patty, you can attest to this, is that at each presentation, there's always the Q&A afterwards is some of the most powerful parts of the presentation. And I don't know if you want to share a little bit about the impact of the Q&A.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what we found is that this is we have created a safe place for individuals to open up and to be able to share. And many of them have shared that, there's a lot of things that they've kept in that they've never shared before.
Yeah.
But after hearing Coley and Amar open up and how transparent they are, it gave them the courage and the strength to open up.
Exactly.
So there were times where we've had to actually cut off the question and answer session because it could go on and on and on. And what we've also found is that this thing touches everybody in one way, shape, or form. I say that we all have our Out of the Ashes moment. It may not be the exact same experience that Coley and Amar have experienced, but we all have it, whether it's from death, whether it's from divorce, incarceration, alcoholism, drug abuse. We all have our own personal experience, and what Coley and Amar have been able to do with their own personal testimony is create a space where individuals are able to open up and able to share and prayerfully walk away with some form of help, some form of release, and on a journey to deliverance, forgiveness, and being able to rebuild, those hurt relationships.
So in the play, I'm quite sure when you and your son was going through this in your talks and things like that, and you got into the writing of it all, did you have your battle moments of, I missed you in this part of my life, Dad? Is these things shared in Out of the Ashes?
Yeah, I mean, very explicitly, very explicitly. And let me say this, these are conversations that we have all the time.
Right.
My son, he said some things that, to me, not out of malice, but just reality expressing itself that have cut me to my core.
Yes.
But he needed to say it, and I needed to hear it. So in Out of the Ashes, it's nothing new. He shares about that. He has a part in the script, for instance. He says, when your father was teaching you how to shave, I was cutting my throat. You know what I mean? And the symbolism behind that is just understanding. So a father teaching a son how to shave or sitting back. I remember watching my father shave, and being a little boy and seeing this. That's a very special moment. It's an intimate moment between a father and a son for a young man looking towards what his manhood might look like.
Right.
But for a young man who doesn't have his father there, he's cutting his throat, and it's the same. It plays out in the community where you see young men who don't know how to come into a mature maleness and they come into it with a machismo and an egotistical aspect or understanding what the man is. Yeah.
So Out of the Ashes, this is a play.
Yes.
And when is this going? With date and times, could you give me all that information?
Sure. So our next live presentation will take place on January the 18th at Stubbs Elementary School. The time frame is 5:45. The actual play itself is probably about a good 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
Okay.
And then again, the question and answer section of it that could go on, but we try to keep it to about 30 minutes, you know, another 30, 45 minutes at the most.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do they get tickets?
So they can go on to Eventbrite.
Okay.
Sorry, the address is should be on there. And if it's not on there, they can actually call. I'm not sure if our contact information is up, but I can be reached at 302 507 4623.
Okay.
This is free to the community, so we're hoping that everyone is able to come out and experience Out of the Ashes.
Wow. I'm going to be there. This is very moving.
Thank you. We'd love to have you
Yeah,
there.
this is a beautiful thing. I missed you. We wanted you on, and I'm so glad that you have come here. And I'm hoping that you're going to come again after the play,
Absolutely. It's our pleasure.
so we can talk about it and maybe invite some. Who's playing you?
I am.
He does.
You playing
We
him?
do we do our own. We do our own.
You
It's a-
guys are amazing.
yeah. I'm not a good actor.
Yes.
So luckily, all I got to do is tell the truth.
Dan?
Right. Okay, and with that, we are going to cut to commercial, and our next guest will be Linwood C. Jackson. We'll be right back. we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have Mr. Linwood Jackson. He is a media personality and a two-term president of the NAACP Delaware chapter. Thank you for coming this evening, Linwood.
Well, thank you for having me, Ms. Perkins. And you know, it's always a pleasure to be on your show, Around Town,
Yes.
with Elizabeth Perkins. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, you've been doing some great work in the community also. You know, we've done a couple of shows together over the years, you know, and it's about time you got your own show, so congratulations.
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Yes. So Linwood, share with us about the NAACP two-term president.
I am. I actually got reelected November 16th for a second term as president. Before that, I was a two-term state secretary. And I'm glad you brought that up. It gives me an opportunity to thank and announce my fabulous executive board, which is my first vice president is Mr. Floyd Anthony, or Anthony Floyd, I'm sorry. Is my first vice president. Second vice president is a good friend of ours, Mr. Charles Brittingham. Our secretary is Miss Barbara Malone. She was my secretary the first time. She's my secretary this time. And then we have Jane Hovington, who is still the treasurer, and we have a new assistant treasurer, Miss Falar Figueroa. So that we do have a great lineup executive board for the NAACP Delaware State Conference going into these next 2 years, and I am looking forward to working with them and getting some of this work done, some of the issues that we have throughout the state of Delaware resolved.
Oh, okay. So are you hands-on, since you're president, you're hands-on with a lot of the issues that's going on in Wilmington, Delaware?
Oh, definitely, yes. And actually, right now, you know, we have a lot of issues. This month, in particular, was a busy month. We had the dark bus eliminated. They decided to remove some buses from Rodney Square. That was huge for us because it is 28 buses serving the Rodney Square hub, and for I think it's 25 years now. And this year, they decided to eliminate 14 of them. And miraculously, or maybe not so much, but it's ironic that the 14 buses that they decided to remove from Rodney Square were buses that primarily served the urban community, the residents of the city of Wilmington. Okay, right, we all know that's right in the center, where Rodney Square is right in the center of Wilmington.
Right.
And so the suburban communities are still being served by Rodney Square. In other words, if you live out in Hockessin or Charlie Square, you know, where the affluent neighborhoods are, then you still have access, bus service to Rodney Square. And we all know the beautiful things that go on in Rodney Square throughout the year and have gone on for many, many years, like the jazz festivals and all of the concerts. They have the farmers market there through the summertime, the holiday events like the Christmas tree lighting, the caroling in the square, and on and on and on. And never has there been any serious crime abating. The one time last year there was a horrific murder from a deranged individual who happened to have some mental health issues. Beside that, I don't remember any serious issues at Rodney Square through all those years with all of those events.
You're right.
So, you know, I think it'd be good if we promoted the benefits of Rodney Square and try to bring the people to Rodney Square. Also, I will close with Rodney Square by saying that they do have 3 historic landmarks at Rodney Square. We also have, you know, that are registered historical landmarks. That is unique in the country. Right. For 3 historical landmarks to be located in one spot and on a square like Rodney Square, here in the biggest city of Delaware, right in the heart of the city, for people we should be encouraging our young folks and everybody to come and visit the square, and also they have the library. Yes. One of the biggest libraries in the state, right there in Rodney Square. So why would we not want our citizens to have access to these services like they've been? So we're protesting that. We did a silent protest, and we're working on education issues is huge right now. The LGBT community, the young folks in school are being discriminated against. We're working on that. It's just a whole bunch of issues. The state workers, Delaware state workers discrimination, that's ongoing. So we do have a big agenda. The police brutality, excessive force, it didn't go away. You know, we're still trying to change the laws that allow the police officers to shoot to kill our citizens based on a mere thought that they're a threat. In other words, Ms. Perkins, if I'm a police officer and I think that you're a threat to my life, you moving, stop moving, oh, boom, I thought you had a gun. And when you take it to court and they get away, no police officer has ever been prosecuted for killing an unarmed person. Or basically anybody for that matter, honestly, but we're worried about our unarmed children being shot and killed by police officers for just because they thought that they were a threat. We're trying to change that law here in Delaware, and like in other states, like in New York State, for example, there are some police departments that have changed that law. The police departments in Delaware can change that law, and right now it's still on the books, and we're working hard to eliminate that as well. So we do have a full plate. But, you know, I was watching your show in the green room earlier, your earlier guest, you're talking about performing and you know, I do have a show, I have my shows, and on my show we talk about the issues, the solution, and the fun stuff too. So I don't want to just talk about the issues going on because there's some great stuff going on. I know you and we have performed in some plays in the years. You still performing?
No.
No,
I'm
you're
just
doing TV now.
Yeah, I'm writing and doing TV.
That's right, you're a book author, and so, you know, we're proud of you and your work as well. And I did want to bring up the arts because in Wilmington, in Delaware, and Wilmington in particular, you know, we have a vibrant art community out there, and we encourage our young folks to get involved in that as well. I know performing for me, I did 3 movies. Last year I did 3 movies and a documentary, and and one of them is called Delaware Shore. Okay. And the director, Ragal Prairie, I think his last name, he's an Indian guy, and won Best Director of the Year award for that movie, and we're proud of him and the work that we did in that movie. Michelangelo Rodriguez wrote it. I'd be remiss if I didn't name him. It's a very diverse and inclusive cast of great talented performers from around the state of Delaware and Pennsylvania. I think one guy came from Pennsylvania and Jersey as well, but primarily it was shot here in Delaware. As a matter of fact, all my shows, my movie shows were in Delaware. We did Crutches, the movie Crutches, by homegrown directors and actors as well. And then we did the documentary Electronic Crack, which is talking about electronics and how electronics, our young folks are in the computers and on the social media pages and the cell phones a little bit too much. You see, we think that they're becoming addicted. And so we did a documentary to talk about that a little bit as well, to be careful, to, you know, so you go out and play. You know, enjoy the wildlife, the horses and the zoos and stuff, you know, the parks. We have some great parks in Delaware, too. So those are just a couple of the things that I've been doing since I spoke to you last.
Wow. That is a meaty plate. For one, let me go from the crack.
Electronic Crack, the documentary.
Crack. When we were younger, you know, remember making paper airplanes and flying them outside and building houses out of popsicle sticks. We used our imaginations a lot when it came to that. I have to sit back and look at my granddaughter sometime and say, you know, look up. You're missing a big world because she's like this. You know, so we have to tend to try to get our kids to move away from that. Pick up a book instead of picking up your laptop.
Correct. Read. Go to the libraries. The Route 9 Corridor Library, state-of-the-art library on Newcastle Avenue right now. is a great library. As a matter of fact, they don't have a lot of books in there like the typical library. They're doing virtual stuff, hands-on stuff.
Nice.
They're doing TV broadcasting out there, for example, teaching our young folks to get involved in the media and how it's able to impact and change their lives, you know, they're being social with one another, interacting like we're doing now to get the message out. And enjoying the parks. But, you know, back to the issues, we still have that, you know, we have a lot of crime going on in the city, and we have to move our police officers to, you know, protect us a little bit more so that our kids can feel free to frequent the parks as well. So, and I think they're doing that. We do have a new police chief in Wilmington who is a hands-on guy. I've met him and talked to him as well.
Or do the NAACP, you guys implement with the curfew that, you know, we have curfew. Like, what are we doing about that? Are we going to bring back the curfew, or are we going to do the officer-friendly thing? Like, when it comes to the crime and the police brutality and things like that, what's on the table for that?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not in law enforcement. But I'm just, you know, we're in civil rights, and we just want to make sure that all people, regardless of age and ethnicity or race and religion and none of that, all people deserve equal right to justice and education and freedom of speech. We want everybody to have access to everything. Like the bus service is the reason why we brought those issues up.
Yeah, because that's right in the business district.
Correct. And it's like, you know, I'm not picking on law enforcement. I do think the new police chief is doing a great job. He inherited we have a high homicide rate. And I remember, as a matter of fact, Ms. Perkins is involved in civil rights. He's a big-time advocate. We walked the beat and got to get petitions signed to establish the first homicide unit in Delaware. You remember that?
I still have the footage.
You still do? You?
Yeah.
I'd like to see that. Now, see, and I think we got like 800 signatures, and it took that administration like 2 years before after that to establish a homicide unit, but they did, and it was a small one, but a small was better than none. And now we are today we're trying to expand that because we have a high rate of homicides in the city of Wilmington, and we have an equally high rate of cold cases as a result. These guys are not getting caught, these murderers, and we are fighting hard to puts our agenda on the table, which is to establish a bigger homicide unit, or back in them days, if you remember, because they were saying it's a funding issue. Well, you know, the taxpayers of Wilmington are already putting money into that by paying taxes to support Newcastle County Police. Newcastle County Police Department has a homicide unit. Newcastle County Police have a homicide unit. The Delaware State Police have a homicide unit, and we can utilize their services and abilities to help us combat these homicides, as well as the military here in Delaware have a homicide unit too. It's ironic, all these police departments have a homicide unit except the police department that needs the homicide unit, which is Wilmington. So you don't need the money. The money's already there. Just utilize the services and that the other police departments have. Would be a big help. So I want to state publicly right now and thank Ms. Perkins for way back then when we did that work. It wasn't forgotten, and you know, and that's how you move the needle. And we have to be actively involved in the direction that we want to see our people go in. You know what I mean? We want our children to live, and we got to get out there and fight for them to live and to have an education. So it ain't going to get done by sitting still and watching the TV show and everything and everybody else doing the work. You got to get out there and make the phone call to your state representatives, your city council members who are there to represent you. And if they're not, then you have to elect people who are there, who are going to go out there and fight for your issues that you have. So that's vital.
And if somebody wanted to contact you, how could they contact you or the NAACP? Well,
NAACP.org. We have a website. We have a Facebook page. And my number is on the board there on the screen. And then I do have the Linwood Jackson at AOL.com. We're very transparent and accessible. I named my executive board, and up and down the state, you know, we're covering the whole state, not just Wilmington. And we have representatives all over the state. Members, just contact any NAACP member, and they will get you in touch with me.
Okay. Thank you, Linwood. Hopefully to have you back to get more in-depth information on what's going on with the NAACP.
Have me back. This is over?
No,
Man,
yeah,
I'm just
we're
having
gonna
too
have
much
you.
fun.
I know, that's why we're gonna have you back. But we'll be right back with Miss Tanya Bayne and Shenet Beasley. We'll be right back from Around Town.
All right.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, with Tanya Bayne and Shenet Beasley. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. We're
I
really
am
excited.
so excited to have you ladies here.
Thank you.
Please share with us what we're talking about today, because I'm so excited.
Okay. Well, today we're here to talk about the Now We Know campaign.
Okay.
And this is a campaign that's going across the country, letting women and the men that love them know about the health concerns that are associated with our leading brand sanitary napkins.
Yes.
And the Nspire Network has brought this to the United States, so we're excited to get everyone educated so that they can become aware and know that they now have a healthier alternative than using what's being sold in the stores today.
Yes, how I was introduced to the Now We Know campaign and Nspire Networks was by a friend. And we were just visiting together, and she asked me a question.
Yeah.
And it's a question I think everyone really should think about. She asked me if I had information to share with you that could potentially save the life of a woman that you loved and care about. Would you want to know?
Yeah.
And my answer was yes.
Yeah.
And she shared a video with me that really, it really blew my mind.
Yeah.
Okay, because it was a 5-minute video, and very quickly it talked about the effects of the chemicals that are in the sanitary napkins and the potential effects of those chemicals and what they could do to the women that are using them. And immediately it struck me as this is something I needed to do something about. And that's kind of the reaction that we get when we share that message with people as well.
You see, I got my glasses on. I was blown away when I saw the video.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, like, these, the sanitary napkins, they can cause fibroids, ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, even miscarriages and tumors. Because of the toxins, I was like, I was blown away. I was like, oh my God. I just felt like I needed to, like, seriously, like, and all the other stuff.
Right. Absolutely. There are many health concerns associated with our leading brand sanitary napkins. And if you Google health concerns with sanitary napkins, the list is long.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to mention the ones that you just said, but even from day-to-day things that we think are normal, like yeast infections and UTIs and things of that nature.
Yeah.
The other thing that was very impressive for me when I went to my first focus group were the testimonies of the young women, and were testimonies from young women as early as 16 years old in one of the focus groups that I went to, and just their experience immediately after beginning to use the product.
Yeah.
They began having, the cycles were reduced. Their testimonies include no longer having any menstrual cramps. And the thing about the topic, it's kind of a topic that isn't easily discussed.
Right. Yeah.
But it's so important that we just kind of pull back the curtain and talk about, what the potential harmful effects are for our women. It's just incredible. The Now We Know Foundation is also, a leader in, bringing that awareness to all of the men and the women, that could potentially be harmed, by those particular products.
Isn't it something, because when I was coming up and we were having our times, like, we never sat down and had the mom, daughter, or auntie or grandparent talking to you about, I mean, it was like when you had your time, it was time.
Right.
We never got this knowledge of everything, of what it entails, what's involved in the making and the processing. I have a granddaughter that's on her way, so I'm glad now I know.
Right.
Because I wouldn't have known.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It is, and that's another thing. I have a daughter who, her testimony is great. She would come to me every month and she would just say, I need some Tylenol. And I would know.
Yeah.
And, so the next time after I heard about the product, I had her try it. And she came to me and within 15 minutes and said, I don't have any cramps. We've had so many people, when we have our focus groups and the different places we've gone across the country that have testimony. So it's not something that they're not claims that we're trying to make.
Right.
It's facts.
Wow.
Okay, it's facts and results that are happening as a result of people being educated to make the change.
Absolutely. And I just want to pick up off of Ms. Tanya's point.
Yeah.
And as you were saying, you sat down, or you didn't get to sit down with your mom, auntie, your grandma to have a conversation.
Yeah.
But what we're realizing is they didn't know what's being put in today's products.
Right.
So they were unable to tell you. But the information is available now. We just don't know to look for it. And that is what our campaign is all about, educating ladies so that they can become aware, because they're not telling us what they're putting in the products.
Right.
But we can get all of that information.
So how did you guys get involved in Now We Know? Like, were you saying, were you reading it? Because I know my daughter, when she's like, I don't, because she make life decisions on cheese, okay? So when she's reading, I'm looking at her, I'm like, well, what's taking her so long? Is that what you guys were doing? I mean, like
I would say what first brought me into the movement was I first saw the video as well. A friend of mine, Miss Stacy Dupree, sent me the video. I watched it and I was like, what is this man gonna tell me about a sanitary napkin?
Right.
And like you said, after watching the video, it blew my mind. I knew nothing.
Right.
And from that moment on, just watching the video, I was like, that's a product that me and my daughter, we're gonna use that.
Yeah.
Then the founders actually came to Wilmington in March of 2017, and I went to an actual focus group, and just listening to the testimonies of the ladies in the room talk about how much pain they used to be in before Cherish, how they did not have to stay at home. They were able to go to work. They were able to go to school during their cycle.
Yeah.
Just listening to those testimonies, I knew then that I had to join the movement so that I could educate others and also be able to provide the product to them, because the product is only sold through an independent distributor. So you have to know someone to get the product. And I was going to make sure I was the one that they knew.
Wow. So if someone needs to get the product like today or after the show or tomorrow morning, how do you get it?
Well, each of the distributors has it's our own business. That's the other beauty of it as well. We are entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So each, you have the opportunity, if you're interested, to become an entrepreneur, and we talk about that at our focus groups, as well, if someone is interested. But for example, my website is cherishforyou.com.
Okay.
All right. And Shenet, you want to share yours?
And my website is painfreeperiod.com.
I love that.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yes, so that is the way to do that. We are also on Facebook. You can find us under our name, okay? But through an independent distributor is the way to go. We also have focus groups, and we've been really across the country and internationally as well. So, the product is, and that's another important thing, it's about women.
Yes.
Okay, it's about children. It's about the men in our lives. Because in addition to the products for women, we also have a Right to Fight campaign for the men that's addressing the prostate health concerns as well. So across the board, it's just a lot of information that we're sharing.
This is a lot of information. It's very media. I love it. We are going to be right back with a demonstration. we are back, ladies and gentlemen, with Around Town with your host, me, Elizabeth Perkins. And tonight we are going to be doing a demonstration with Ms. Tanya Bayne and Shenet Beasley.
All right, and we're going to involve you as well. All right. So we're going to do a demonstration so that people become aware of a lot of the information around the particular pads themselves. We do want to say up front that we are not making any kind of health claims. You can look all this information up online. You can Google it yourselves. And so we're just here to educate. We're not here to bash. So we're going to start right away with the pad. This is a pad that people are always familiar with. It's a competitor's pad. And the first thing we want to talk about is take a look at the pad, and you see how it's sealed.
Yeah, it's got that little clip, and you can.
Exactly. So when you think about, I don't know, and when I would have it in my pocketbook, the opportunity for things to get in this sanitary napkin would make it a bit of an unsanitary napkin. In addition to that, the seal that is used is actually used the same type of material that is used with a duct tape. And part of the reason why it's not sealed all the way around is because it's possible that there could be some chemical effects of having that type of sealing. Now, if you look at our product here, the Cherish Sanitary Napkin, it is sealed all the way around. All right?
Oh, yeah.
And the product that we use to seal it is a plant-based biodegradable product.
Okay.
So all healthy.
Plant-based biodegradable.
Degradable product, okay? All natural.
All natural.
All right. All natural. So the next thing we want you to do is, this is the popular sanitary napkin. I just want you to feel this, and then feel the Cherish Sanitary Napkin as well.
Oh.
So tell me about the difference that you feel.
I feel a lot of cushioning and stuff in here,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of threading, but it would be a little irritated, having to be where it has to be.
Yes.
And
in our
this
mark
one is
push.
a more smooth, comfortable feel.
Very good. So
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. So this is, again, in the most precious part of your body. It is, not as comfortable, and our product is thinner.
Right.
Okay, you can see that from the size of the
When
pads
we were
themselves.
younger, we would think bulky was better.
Yes, okay. So the
Yeah.
question we're going to move to right now, the big
Yeah.
question is about absorbency.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would think that this is an 8-hour pad. I don't know, 8 to 10 hour pads is what the claims are. But we have interviewed women, and women have said that I don't think this pad has lasted 8 or 10 hours. Okay,
leaking.
never ever lasted 8 or 10 hours.
lot of
Okay.
leaking.
All right, and what I want to inform you about here, included in this, this pad is made from wood fibers, okay, and reprocessed materials. So yes, and our products are made from 100% cotton. All right, so not only is it softer, but it's made from an all natural material as well. All right, if you see here, if you notice here, you'll see that there is a blue dye there.
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine when that gets wet, that dye is, again, on the closest part of your body.
Right.
A woman's body is 98.6 degrees, and you just kind of do, that's how some of the bacteria is formed.
Right.
Okay. All right. So we are going to do the absorbency test. I love this. All right, so what we have here, we've pre-measured out, and I want you to confirm here, that's 50 milliliters of liquid, and I'm going to go ahead and pour that liquid, all right here on the product.
Now, gynecologists have told us that a woman exudes about 15 to 50 milliliters per day while they're on their cycle. So we're going to put the pads to the test and use the 50 milliliters and see which one comes out.
Okay, and while I'm pouring that one, I'll do this for the sake of time as well. Oh, let's confirm. What do we have here?
50 milliliters.
50 milliliters, all right, so let's get that in there. All right, next we'll do our Cherish Premium Sanitary Napkin. All right. So we're pouring it. I'm pouring it the same way that I did on the other pad. The same amount of water. Okay. All right, so we have the water in there. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the absorbency test.
Okay.
So we're going to place this napkin on the pad.
Okay.
All right, and I'm going to put you to work here.
Okay.
All right, I want you to press down on that.
Oh, I can touch
Yes, you can touch it. You may not want to, but you can touch it. Press down hard, hard. Let's give it.
I'm not even barely touching it, and it's all wet.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So we're
Glad
going
that's
to.
water.
Glad that's water. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So here we have, and it was sitting there a little bit longer. That's what we have from the other pad. Now what I want you to do is.
I'm gonna do my dry hand on that.
Okay. Very good. Do your dry
Do
hands.
my dry hand.
Press down hard.
There you go, press. Are you pressing?
Yeah,
Are you pressing?
I'm beating the table with this thing. Oh wow.
Oh, wow. Okay. So here we have the 8 to 10 hour napkin and
Oh wow.
The cherish.
The cherish.
Completely dry.
completely dry.
Yeah.
So again, this is on your body. This is the 8 to 10 hour pad. Let's
Right.
go ahead and feel this.
I don't want to feel that no more. That's too wet for me.
All right, so now Shenet is going to
That's dry.
do the rest.
This is completely dry.
Completely dry. And of course, we never thought to dissect our pads, but I'm going to break the pads down and show you what's inside of each of them.
Okay.
So we can talk a little bit more about what the pads are made of.
I broke no pad down before.
Yes. So we'll start with Exhibit A, which is a pad that we can find in the stores.
The wet one.
Yes, the wet pad. Of course, we know we have to change this pad multiple times out of the day.
Oh, yeah.
It never does what it says it's going to do. 8 hours, no, that's never. So the first layer of this pad is a synthetic material, and I want you to feel it. It's more of a rayon or a plasticky
Yeah.
material. And is that dry or wet?
It's wet.
That is wet, and it's abrasive. When we rub it, we can hear it. The next layer is what they call their dry weave. It is actually just blue dye. And as Ms. Tanya stated, when we sit down, stand up, sit down, that blue dye is
Yeah.
just going back into our bodies.
Wow.
I want to show you the absorbency system, which is actually made of the wood fibers and recycled papers. That's all
Recycled
this
paper?
is. They're using a 6 to 8 step bleaching process to make these wood fibers and recycled papers white. The byproduct of that is a chemical called dioxin. And dioxin is 10 times more lethal than cyanide. We have to wear these things for 40 plus years, right?
Right.
So we're going to take a cup, and as you can see, one of them has less water in it and one has more. I'm going to place the absorbency system of the store brand into the cup with the least amount of water, and we're going to see if it continues to do what it's supposed to do, which is absorb. The last layer of the pad, see that? That is nothing but a plastic bag.
Oh, yeah.
The top layer of our cherish
Wow.
sanitary napkin is made with a soft
Plastic
cotton.
bag.
Take that off, and as we can see, it just blows in the wind there.
Yeah.
Air
Feel that.
laid.
Oh, wow, that feels good and dry.
And dry, absolutely. So
That
that's
is
what
dry.
we want next to our most precious area.
Right.
This is the magic.
The magic strip here, we have our negative ion strip. And negative ions appear naturally in nature. I want you to Google the benefits of the negative ion strip. But what it actually helps us with is it helps relax the uterus. It helps with pain and inflammation, helps reduce odors, helps balance our pH, and the list is long. Google it and you get all the information, but this is the magic within
That's
the pad.
the magic. Wow.
The next layer is a layer of air-laid paper that we have wrapped around our absorbency system. But I'm going to take the absorbency system out, which is a polymer. It can hold up to 300 times its weight in liquid. I put it in the cup with the most amount of water, and this is that air-laid paper.
Oh, wow.
The last
That's
layer
comfortable.
of our cherished sanitary napkin is actually made with a biodegradable material.
Okay.
And as I get it up here, we can see that it actually tears
And it's
pretty easily.
It actually sticks too.
Absolutely.
We need that.
Yeah, we definitely need that. But this has water channels in it that will pull the moisture down to the bottom of the sanitary napkin. Real quick, we're going to take a look and see which absorbed. So we have the 2 cups. Did
Right.
this absorb anything? Not at all. This absorbency system
I wouldn't
still
want
has
that on
water
my
in it.
body.
Our cherished sanitary napkin,
Oh wow.
you can't get a drop out of it. If I were to turn this cup over,
Oh wow, look at
we
that.
had turned a liquid into a solid. This is why you're staying
Wow.
dry, ladies. This
Yes.
is why you need Cherish. So it's a safe, natural alternative, and you're dry all day.
Wow. This was an awesome demonstration. I'm Elizabeth Perkins, and we are going to cut to commercial.
All right, very good. So we finished our demonstration, and if you want to see a live demonstration and participate in our focus group and hear about our great products, we're having a demonstration on Sunday, January the 28th at the Jester Crossing Community House. At 2 p.m., from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. So we want you to come on out. You can also give us a call at area code 302-218-0677 for more information. And you can also reach Ms. Shenet Beasley at 302-983-8049. Thank you. We're very happy to have been here.
Thank you for coming and having this demonstration. I'm blown away still. And that's our show, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm Elizabeth Perkins from around town. Good night.
You've been watching Around Town with Elizabeth Perkins. Be sure to watch our next episode, Wednesday, February 14th at 6 p.m. I'm Richard Frank Blackwell, and thank you for watching Around Town with Elizabeth Perkins.